We're back, baby. All right, guys. We haven't done a Let's Talk Rockets in dude, it was October. So November, December, January. It's been like 4 months or something. It is crazy. I actually don't think I've ever been live on this channel in this state, but we're here and we got some stuff to talk about. What is up, Thomas Perry? I didn't really realize you subscribed to this channel, so I appreciate you. Hope your weekend is going well. I apologize. I was supposed to go live a couple of minutes ago. What's up, Arturo? Supposed to go live a couple of minutes ago, and I'm watching the Genesis Invitational, the golf event for the week, and Tiger Woods stuck one beautifully. He almost made an albatross, and I waited like 6 minutes for him to hit his shot, and I saw he birdied it on Twitter, and they still didn't even show it. So we're a couple minutes late, but nonetheless, I want to get Let's Talk Rockets going again, just again. It's All-Star Weekend right now at the time of this recording. It's Saturday, February 18th. Be sure to hit that like button, hit that sub button for pretty much daily Rockets content. A little difficult to post daily Rockets content this season because it's just not going as well as a lot of people were hoping for. At the end of the day, hopefully it all works out with I think we're pretty much locked into I don't think it's mathematical, but I think we're pretty much locked into a top 5 pick here. That's good news. However, tensions are running high right now, and it mainly has to do with Coach Stephen Silas. We will say that we are riding a 7-game losing streak right now. If I'm not mistaken, this time last year we were, I think, in the midst of I forget what it got up to. I think it was 14 straight losses last season around this time. We were in the midst of it, but we lost like 19 of 20 games around this time last season. If you don't remember, we went on, I think it was a 7-game winning streak a couple of months before All-Star break, I should say. And that was cool. Thankfully, it didn't end up really mattering too much. We still got the 3rd pick, and we ended up picking Jabari Smith Jr., but that blowout loss this past Wednesday night got a lot of people fired up, as it should. The season is not going as planned. Jay Sean went down. Jalen went down. We'll talk about all that here. Let's check the chats. And running for the 1st pick, not a bad year for that. It is not a bad year for that, and that's the bright side to it. I think regardless, Stephen Silas is going to be gone. The reason a lot of people are getting fired up right now for good reason is because the player you can see in the back of this screen right here is Silas just openly said, yeah, I don't run plays for him. And if you guys remember, I believe it was on draft night when Stephen Silas, or the day after, whenever Jabari got introduced, we heard Stephen Silas say, yeah, I was up all night making plays for Jabari, which is just absolutely absurd considering he doesn't run plays for him. And it's something I hate. It's a big reason why I haven't been making too many Rockets daily videos. I also just am doing a lot of stuff here with my daily show now. It's kind of hard to balance everything in life, but it's something I really noticed. Like I said, we talked about this in my last video if you saw it. Something I noticed in that I think it was late November game against Golden State where we actually almost won it. Kevin had a 30-piece. Jalen didn't play great. Eric Gordon did well. Jabari, I think, had 22. It was on paper a good game. And I believe it was on national television, that game. And that's why a lot of eyeballs came onto the Rockets for it. And I just noticed it immediately. It was just clear as day that the players got a lot of slack in the first half of the season. Silas was still getting a lot of slack, myself included. I was hopefully optimistic that this year would be a different type of year for Steven Silas. I still wanted him to succeed. However, he still runs these offense schemes, these offensive game plans, as if we have Luka Doncic from when he was with Dallas before, or we have James Harden, like when Silas initially came on board. And it's still kind of crazy considering we're in year 3 of Silas here, and it's like, hopefully Rafael Stone has this master plan where it sounds desperate to say where he's kind of screwing Steven Silas over. And it's like, yeah, it's not the young talent we have. It's just Steven Silas. So everybody blamed Steven Silas for it. If Silas is back next year as a Rockets head coach, I will be absolutely shocked. I really wouldn't even know what to say. I would love a cat like Ime Udoka. He just got officially let go from the Boston Celtics now that Joe Mazzulla is locked in long term. I would love a guy like Ime Udoka. I think he should be the front runner for the Houston Rockets head coach position. But in that Warriors game, it was just so abundantly clear to myself, along with a lot of you guys, where it's like these guys don't know what to do. Nothing's being drawn. It's just pick and roll / ISOs. And these guys, these players, they just don't know what to do. They don't know what's expected of them. They don't know where to be. It leads to a lot of low quality shots, which just translates right onto the stat sheet. And it was just a disaster, and that's a big issue for me coming onto these videos talking about the Rockets, because it's the same thing on a night in to night out basis. And thankfully, from that game to now, there's a lot more bright spots within this Rockets team. I know it doesn't show up on the stat sheet, but specifically, Alperen Şengün has officially kind of came alive here. You're finally, it's so crazy to think that, because I went to the Rockets home opener. Shout out to Jorge if he watches this. Bruno Fernando started that game for us, which is so crazy. He's no longer a Houston Rocket, and I wish Bruno the best of luck. And it's not like he was a horrible center, but you have Alperen Şengün on your roster, and you're not playing him. You're not starting him. It made no sense. It literally made no sense. And I believe it was at that game where Bruno got injured, and he got injured for a couple of weeks, and Şengün was kind of finally given some type of keys. Well, he's having a phenomenal year here, and I know Jalen, sophomore slump, shooting just 41% from the field, 33 from downtown. However, there's a lot more bright spots, specifically playmaking, better defense. And if this is a down year for Jalen Green and he's 22, 4-4, that's not a bad problem to have. What my concern is that the locker room becomes a little bit more frustrated, and I hope that they don't become frustrated within themselves. I know this is more of a bigger thing in hockey, but if the players are going to get upset, I hope it's at Steven Silas. And I know that sounds kind of shitty to say. It sounds really doggy to say, but I want these players united. I want them hopeful and optimistic for their future. I want the chemistry to be going. I want the locker room to be going. So if you're going to blame somebody, Houston Rocket players, please blame Steven Silas, because if you have the 3rd pick in the draft and you're not running plays for him, it is quite frustrating. Now, I honestly anticipate this Rockets team to look a little bit different next season. I think Kevin Porter Jr. is I've seen some stuff like if we don't get the 1st pick, they're probably going to go with Scoot, right? If we have the 2nd pick and you draft Scoot, well, I think that means Kevin's on his way out. And the thing is, mainly, Kevin's having a great year on paper, and he's just been improving as a player and as a person as well. 19 points, 5.5 rebounds, 5.5 assists, 1.3 steals. He's shooting almost 44% from the field, shooting almost 35% from downtown. And I don't think if they, I've seen some guys say the Rockets should go out and get Freddie Double V. Sorry, Thomas. I love the concept. Like if they were to not get Scoot or even not get Vic and they got the 3rd pick or what have you, I would love a guy like Freddie Double V to come on in here. What that would probably mean, and what we've been saying for months and months and months on this channel, is Kevin Porter Jr. is more suited for a bench role. I don't think Silas is utilizing him properly, and I know the stats look good, but I think he's better suited for an off-ball guard. The issue is you have Jalen Green there, and he's having a phenomenal year. The Houston Rockets set themselves up to be in a position where they can get rid of him this year, and everybody kind of wins here because Kevin's having a great year. Some team would be very pleased to acquire Kevin Porter Jr. But even outside of that, as we start to get lower and lower on this depth chart, I know Jabari's having his struggles. That's for sure. It reminds me almost of Jalen Green's struggles in the first half of last season, which I think we could actually probably pull up. We talked about this in my video from a couple of days ago, too. Let's go to splits. Let's go to last year, and I believe it was completely different. It's completely different. He shot 38.7% from the field, 31% from downtown, just 14.6 points per game. So even just at face value, like shooting split wise, they look very similar to Jabari's first half statistics. Then the second half comes along, and the good news is it's not like we were winning crazy amount of games. It was still kind of the trajectory where for the most part we were in the game all game until the last 4 minutes or so. Then things got a little bit sloppy, and we won a couple of them, which I still want to do. I still want to win a couple of them. It's going to be hard judging from what the Spurs did at the deadline. It's going to be kind of hard, I think, to have the actual worst record. And even just statistically, mathematically, it's going to be okay. I know Vic is the guy we all want. I don't think a lot of Rockets fans, myself included, are even thinking too much about the fit issues of an Alperen Şengün and Victor Wembanyama. I think the best route would be to kind of deal with that if and when it comes. But I do wonder how those two would fit down in the paint together. I don't even really want to think about it quite yet because, like I said, that's a good problem to have. It's actually a really good problem to have. If you look here, Jalen Green's second half statistics goes up about 7 points to 22 points a night, starts rebounding a little bit more, starts getting more assists. And all together, it was just moving a lot more fluidly. You saw he started to get that confidence. He starts adjusting to the speed and the pace of the NBA, starts being a little bit more aggressive. We started seeing some defensive flashes, and he got his field goal percent almost up 10 total knocks or ticks to 47.6%, 38.7% from downtown. So that's a big reason why I'm not too worried about Jabari Smith Jr. We knew he's extremely young, and we know especially if that 3-point shot falling, he's just shooting 30.3% from downtown on the year. If that 3-point's not falling, the stats aren't going to equate for Jabari. It's just going to be how it works. So shoot. I'm not worried about him. It's just more so with the offense. Steven Silas not running actual plays for him. And it reminds me actually to go back to Silas's days with the Dallas Mavericks, and even still to this day. I guess it might be a little bit different now that Kyrie's there. It's been a very small sample size. But if you watch the Dallas Mavericks, what happens is, Luka Doncic has the ball in his hands for 20 seconds. They're running some pick and rolls or what have you, and not every possession he's passing the rock. It's not like they're throwing it everywhere. Like, the ball movement's crazy. Like the Golden State Warriors is a good example for the complete polar opposite. But what happens is you get these players like Dorian Finney-Smith, Reggie Bullock, Tim Hardaway Jr. You get these guys who haven't had the ball for 5 straight possessions, and now they finally get the ball, and there's a couple of seconds left on the shot clock. It's like, well, okay, that's not great. Think, if let's use ourselves as comparisons. Let's say you're playing open gym. You're at the rec, and we're playing open gym, and you have that guy on your team who doesn't pass the ball, and he's still pretty good. He's doing his thing just like Luka does his thing, and then he get 5 possessions later, you're in the corner, you're always open. You finally get the ball, you got to shoot it. You're not in a rhythm, but you're expected to make it. It's kind of very similar to what we see with Jabari Smith Jr. this year, and it's actually kind of what we saw a lot of in Jalen Green's first half of last season, where he's not really getting the ball in the first chunk of the possession, and now you just kind of got to figure it out. There's a couple of seconds left. You're probably going to get a contested shot, a low-quality shot, and you just kind of have to figure it out from here. So I anticipate Jabari Smith Jr., because we actually have seen it a lot in the last couple of games, have better games. Look at this. I would argue 2 of his last 3 games post-deadline have been exactly what I want to see from him. I know he struggled in this Philadelphia game going just 3 of 14. Like I said, shooters are going to shoot, and you're not always going to have a great night shooting the ball, but he did have 6 offensive rebounds. He did have 12 rebounds. But last game that we saw against OKC, he was one of our lone bright spots in that game. 4 of 8 from the field, so we're still not seeing like a high amount of field goals being attempted, but he was very efficient with it. He got to the rim as well. We saw 9 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 steals, 2 blocks, and 15 points. Now, that game in itself, because we lost by, what was that, 37? Yikes. It's kind of hard to really look into that game too much because no one wants to. I'm sure you don't want to watch it live. You don't want to watch it not live. Watch the film on it. But I do like the trajectory Jabari Smith Jr. is having. I have no worries or no concerns of him possibly being a bust. I think that's a little ridiculous. And keep in mind, especially with Jalen Green out there, with Kevin Porter Jr., when he gets healthy, hopefully he gets healthy at some point in the season, and even now Şengün, we don't need Jabari to be the first option. We don't need him to be the second option. I hope one day he can be that third option, but if he's a complimentary fourth option, giving me 15 points a night, that's something I'll definitely take, hopefully on high efficiency and high quality shots, because his defense is there, man. What's up, Thomas? I appreciate that. We're rocking with you at the supper table. What's for dinner tonight? I'm thinking about making some chicken teriyaki myself. I made a great steak, potato, and spinach ribeye last night. It was so good. Then we also have a couple of other cats who are seeing increased minutes, specifically KJ Martin Jr. I'm still pretty curious, actually, what his future is going to hold now that he's in his 3rd year with Houston. I'm still pretty curious what his future is with the Houston Rockets, but once again, we'll deal with that when it comes. Tari Eason, the other rookie that we got on the squad, Tari's kind of the guy where, look at this. Some nights it's going to be, actually, this is all extremely consistent statistics, but Tari's kind of the player where, just like KJ, actually, we don't really need to run plays for these guys. They're just usually in the right spot. They're hustle players. They're good on, Tari's great on defense. And that's just kind of the thing with Tari is he's always in the right spot at the right time. What was that game a couple of weeks ago? Let's find that game a couple of weeks ago where he had so many offensive rebounds. Wow. He just has a lot of offensive rebounds in general. So never mind, because that would be probably one of these Minnesota Charlotte games, most likely. But he's just always in the right spot, the right time, and he's a hustle player. He's just a guy you want on your team, and especially considering he's a rookie. Tari's a guy, statistics, I'll take him with a grain of salt because it doesn't really showcase kind of what he provides you. Very similar, actually, to Jayshawn Tate. Hot dog and French fries. Ooh, that sounds good, man. I haven't had a hot dog in a while. Not the healthiest, but we're tired, and the kids love it. Who'd you think be better on the Rockets, Thompson or Miller? It's a good question. I'm starting to get into draft stuff. I'll probably start making more draft content for the Houston Rockets in the month of March. I am just kind of new to evaluating collegiate talent. I'd go with the Thompson. I think either Thompson twin is going to be very good in the NBA, but yeah, I don't know. I'm still kind of evaluating on that. I feel kind of shitty to say that, but I'm not the best draft analyst. That's something I'm definitely working on. Moving down the line here, we got Josh Christopher, who hopefully he sees a little bit more play in the second half. We also saw another very similar thing last year. I'm sure statistics would show this too, where he got more keys in the second half of the season once the All-Star break. Yes, 16 and a half minutes, 21 minutes. And keep in mind, though, with that being said, Josh, if you remember, he played, 74 games for us last year. If you remember, at the start of the season, Josh was a guy who was always getting 7 minutes, 8 minutes, 9 minutes. So he's definitely got flaws, but he is definitely got a lot of things going his way. So, Josh Christopher is a guy I think a lot of us Rocket fans are still holding our breath for. Like, if he's going to fail, at least put him in a position where he can succeed and fail. At least just give him the opportunity to showcase what he has. One of the newer assets for the Houston Rockets would be Ty Washington Jr. We saw a beautiful game not too long ago right here against the Oklahoma City Thunder, 9 of 16 from the field, finished with 20 points, just 2 assists. But man, we gave up 153 points, which is absolutely unreal. I like Ty Washington Jr. at a base level. What is he still? I believe Ty's still 19 years old. He could be 20 now. He'd be a fresh 20. Just 21 years old. Completely wrong with that one. But Ty, we're going to see a lot more Ty Washington Jr. in the second half of the season. And then I believe lastly we have, the Daishen Nix situation is kind of something I've really tried to stay away from because, I get it from both standpoints. He likes to kind of not chirp, but chirp back on Twitter and Instagram, which is definitely not something I want from any of my players. If you're going to do it, maybe be like a Kevin Durant. But at the same time, there's a lot of frustration in the air, not only with, the Rockets players, I'm sure with themselves and the team, and they only have 13 wins. So I'm sure nobody's thrilled about that in the locker room, but I don't want that being translated onto social media regardless. I don't, we'll speak on that maybe at a later date, but I actually still like what Daishen Nix contributes at times. Keep in mind, he's still an extremely young player, hasn't played much pro ball yet, and I know the stats, they're not great. 34.5% from downtown, 30.9% from 30.9% from downtown, and just 34.5% from the field. But we'll see with Daishen Nix. I would hope that and kind of expect them to go a little bit more towards Ty in the last half of this season here. And then lastly, we do have Mr. Usman Garuba, who's actually been a really nice, refreshing breath of fresh air. That word choice sounds weird, but nonetheless, Usman Garuba is looking to me. I mean, he kind of came into the Rockets being that guy who hopefully can guard 1 through 5, and that's pretty much what we're seeing. Very switchable player, and we're starting to see offensively, like I think he's actually leading the Rockets right now, 3-point percentage at 46.9. Now, I know it's a very small sample size, but if we even go to these splits, in the month of February, he's starting to, and it's only been 5 games, so another very small sample size, but we're starting to see him take 1.5 threes a night, which I love to see that statistic because, look at that. The first 4 months of the season, he wasn't even averaging 1 3 a night. Now, when you're playing just 11 minutes a game, it's kind of hard to get a lot of looks, but Usman Garuba, only in his second year, is another player I'm just extremely hopeful for. So that pretty much wraps us up here. I hope you guys enjoyed tonight. I was going to go live stream the dunk contest, but we're probably not going to do that. I hope, and I actually think KJ Martin Jr. is about to make some heads turn tonight, so I'm very excited to watch that, and hopefully it's better than Jalen Green's dunk contest performance last year. And then I think we have like the Rising Stars championship game tonight with a couple of our cats in it. So that's it for today, man. If you have any questions, go ahead, throw them in the chat. But Let's Talk Rockets is certainly something I'm trying to get going a lot more here. And I think we'll start to implement it a lot more. I like doing these more so than the post-game recap videos. I'm a big fan of going live the next day. I'd go live the night of, but I live in the East Coast now. And what time would a Rockets game typically end at? I would go with around 10:30. It's just a little difficult. And like I said, I don't know if a lot of you guys know this, but I do have a daily live NBA show that we've done for about 11 months or so. And I got to watch a lot of basketball. So it's a lot easier to just wait to do the Rockets video / live stream the day after. So yeah, hit that like button, hit that sub button. Appreciate all you guys coming through. Miguel, Arturo, Thomas, hope you have a good rest of your weekend. Hope to see you guys on Monday live at the show, and probably do a live stream tomorrow of KJ Martin. And yeah, I'll see you guys then. Peace.